like a caretaker type of person.
Okay.
So if an animal is half mine, it almost becomes like fully
It pretty much
mine.
is.
Yeah,
I
like,
feel you on that.
and I just worry like a mother about stuff. So I'm all like a little bit more overprotective than.
Yeah. I love how it's
like
a mother and not a father.
Yeah, no, I get it from my mom.
Yeah.
I know, because I remember as a kid just being like, "Mom, stop it!" Like, you know what I mean? You were just so overbearing about stuff, and then
What's your ethnicity?
half Colombian, half Italian, and a little bit of Italian in there. I'm sorry, Chilean.
Oh, okay, so yeah, you have the Latin mother and the Italian
Yeah.
family type.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm Middle Eastern, so it's the same thing. I'm Lebanese, and my mom was just always, when I was younger, like, "Mom, enough with the love."
Yeah.
Now it's like, now you kind of miss it because you're older, but yeah, I totally get where you're coming from.
Yeah.
I mean, I wish I could have a puppy. It fucking sucks. I love dogs. Cats kill me. Cats I can't do at all.
Yeah.
I break out everywhere, but dogs, only obviously like hypoallergenic dogs, so.
Right. And then, I ended up getting this dog only like 2 years ago. So it was like after I broke up from that relationship, she kept the dog because she knew I liked the dog. So it was kind of one of those moves. But, and then I was working a lot at the time, so it kind of worked out okay. But then I actually quit my job to kind of reevaluate what direction in life I wanted to go. And during that time period, a good friend of mine like posted on Facebook like, "Hey, does anyone want to like dog sit my dog for a little bit?" And I'm like, I got some free time. I'm trying to like,
rebalance
just just like think about. I was like, it'd be cool to have a dog around, good for like sort of that emotional positivity, I'd say.
Yeah.
And then,
It just things fell into place.
Fell into place,
Yeah,
and then now I'm like, well, I'm keeping the dog.
Yeah.
So
That's an adorable dog. Again,
I
I wish I could. Well, my girlfriend will watch it for us, so it's
Yeah.
chilling. Like, she enjoys dogs.
Taylor, right?
Taylor.
Shout out to Taylor.
Shout out to Taylor. She'll be listening to this.
Yeah.
I don't know if she watches the YouTube videos, but she listens. But so tell me, man, what's been going on with you? You guys have been crazy busy. So you run the Boom Boom Room.
I do, yeah.
What's the history behind the name? Because I've seen that name before.
Yeah.
Because I mean, when I first saw you guys like put out the Boom Boom Room show, I was like, where is that like ringing a bell from?
Yeah, it's interestingly enough, it's one of those names where it's like, I feel like it's like the alley or something.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? Where it's kind of, I feel like different cities kind of have one of those. Like there is a Boom Boom Room in New York. There is a Boom Boom Room in New York.
Right. Okay, that's probably where I'm familiar with.
That's one. Other part that I've kind of found this out recently that was kind of cool. There's a movie called Life.
Okay.
And in that movie, it's like an old Eddie Murphy movie, but apparently there's a big running theme in there about like Ray's Boom Boom Room or something. Okay. So it's one of those. So it like works in your advantage in that people have heard it before, but then it also is like people may not associate just to you.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, for sure.
So
is that where you guys you heard that and you're kind of like, this kind of fits with the idea of what you guys were trying to do, or?
No. So it let's see. So it kind of started out where one of my really good friends, Jesta, I introduced you to, but he was a big part of Noise Revolt, and when they got their warehouse in downtown LA, he reached out to me and kind of got me involved and was like, "Hey, do you want to move in and get a little artist spot here?" And I was looking at all the different places, and I'm kind of a frugal person in general.
Sure.
So I was like, okay, is anyone doing anything with this little closet over here?
Yeah, hey,
and
make it work.
I was like, I'm gonna be at work all day. I want to like try to like save some money or something. So I was like, all right, let's do that. Yeah. And since I'm also creative, I'm thinking to myself, okay, I have the smallest room in the world. Now,
Harry Potter style.
Right. So you can, with design, when things aren't perfect, what you can do is you can lean into it. So it's like, okay. This place is tiny, but it's going to be the coolest tiny space ever.
Right.
So it's purposeful as opposed to
just
just what you have.
Right.
So I just put a lot of energy into like making this tiny, like basically a little tiny party room, and everyone's like, I was putting like LED lights but it was like a bunch of speakers and stuff, and everyone's like, oh, what are we gonna call it? You know what I mean? And my friend's like, how about the champagne room? You're throwing all these like ideas, and someone just said it like, you mean the Boom Boom Room or something like that? And we were all like, kind of just turned our heads like, that's the name. So it was like the original name of kind of this little like DJ studio thing I got going, and
so you DJ as well?
I do. I do. Yeah, I do. I I don't really like DJ my events as much because while I do think I'm a good DJ, I don't think I'm the world's greatest DJ.
Sure.
And I also don't want to feel like my events, like my DJing performance is like the deciding factor of how good my event is.
Right. Oh, okay. That's fair. That's fair. Because you were saying, like, as far as the being the creative, and you saw that space, the small space. You went to school for art and design. I did. Right? Yeah. Is that here in LA or was that?
Yeah.
So you're a local to LA then?
I am. Yeah. I went to Art Center College of Design.
Nice. How was that?
It was wonderful. It was a really, really fantastic school. The social life was non-existent.
Really? Like, you would think for a school like that has art and design, you would kind of be the creative merging together and rude awakening.
No, not at all. Yeah. And the main reason is compared to like other kind of undergraduate art programs, it's you don't have dorms. So the school, there's no sort of student housing options in any way. So everyone is like that. I think pulls such a big social part out of it.
So everybody's off campus.
And everyone's off campus. Some people are local, but people live all over LA.
Right.
And then it just kind of creates this thing where everyone drives into class, goes to class, and then everyone leaves. And that's kind of it. Also, I don't know, maybe it was just me, but I kind of felt like when I went there, the school had such a professional kind of outlook and tone that I felt like people didn't want to be seen outside of that.
Oh, okay. I get you.
Yeah, it was really about like, trying to like the coolest you could be was like I got an intern at NASA, or I'm that kind of stuff. Like that was like the stuff to brag about.
Right.
Or they have a lot of people would work at do internships at JPL. Yeah, right there, because it's like on the other side.
I'm trying to find the connection between like the art and design to JPL and NASA and that kind of thing.
Right. So Art Center is more of like, it is an art school, but more on the kind of design, industrial design type of like outlook. So I went there for graphic design, but everything has a very like final product consumer type of like kind of outlook to it. They have a lot of transportation design stuff.
Oh, so that can pretty much apply to anything at that point.
Yeah.
Depending on the connection that the person has to get the... Nice. Have you seen that kind of build a base, like as far as your personality to kind of start something like the Boom Boom Room? Or like, because I feel like you did that with school and that kind of led into your creative mind to, let's say, like design like a little closet that you had, which turned into hearing the name the Boom Boom Room. So where did it go from that to starting your own event in LA? Because I mean, you and I both know it's really tough out here. Yeah. And to start something, I mean, you guys have been, I mean, kudos to you guys. You guys have been killing it. You guys came out of nowhere, and you guys have, great events, great lineups, great. You guys give like free fruit and stuff like that. So I mean, that creative aspect to it is something that's very important out here.
Yeah, it really is. And one thing I like to think, it's like during this whole time, ever since I was young, like I always liked going out. I've always been like, into getting into trouble and stuff. But
story of my life.
Yeah, and so I've definitely, I like to say I'm like a nightlife aficionado type of thing.
So you've been around the block.
I've been around the block, yeah. And so going to school with that, but I think when it came to making these kind of big step things, there was a couple factors that kind of all came into place to make it all possible. One was, we were kind of getting this started. Also, at the time, Noise Revolt was also doing really well. So that they had the warehouse space and everything. It was very inspiring to be around. Also, me and all our friends were all like learning how to DJ. And I totally get the other side of this now, but when you're starting to DJ, we're just like asking our friends, like, "Come on, dude, like let us get a set, like put us on, like," and they're not, kindly being like, "Yeah, we'll think about it."
Yeah,
and stuff.
They have their own vision as far as the lineups they want. They have their
and
I
also,
totally get that.
Yeah, and even in hindsight, it's like when I look back, it's like, I wanted to play in front of people without. I think I just wanted to play in front of people. You just kind of you think it's just like all fun and games kind of thing without seeing all the work, vision, and like why it's decided that way.
Yeah. I mean, I can't even begin to think. I mean, I'm not a DJ, so I can't really say that I would be the person to put myself in front of other people, especially to perform. But it seems like it's not something that it's that easy. Especially the people that do go up there thinking it's that easy. Their sets aren't gonna take care of the crowd.
Kind of like that was me a little more on the naive side. Because here's the thing, I think I'm just always been such a fan of music, and I'm sure every one of us are
in some degree.
Yeah, and and it's like, I don't know, with all the music going, everyone thinks they like have good taste in music,
right?
Because it's like, you know, I like music. Doesn't everyone like the same
the
song?
Stuff I like, yeah, I feel you on that.
So,
by the way, the air conditioning is on. I promise. It's just hot as hell.
No, it's just me.
I'm
running hot.
You're good. Stay hydrated, man. Keep yourself warm. I guess not. Actually, keep yourself cold.
Yeah.
You don't want to keep yourself warm when you're sweating.
Yeah.
Anyway.
And let's see. So we had this desire to kind of artistically express our sound, or kind of DJ thing. And, you know, it's kind of like, what do you do when you can't really get a set? You start trying to do your own thing.
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of, that's how I always look at things. If I kind of hit a dead end, it's like just turn around and
point the other direction.
Point the other way and keep going. Yeah.
I mean, not a lot of people have that mindset. I think, I'm trying to think of who is it that I heard it from, but a lot of people reach, let's say, 2/3 of the way up the mountain. Mm-hmm. They see the peak, but they see that they can't go up in that direction. So a lot of people have a lot of trouble going back down after making that 2/3 progress, going back down and finding a new path to get all the way up. So that's I think the creative in you, to want to be able to like accept the fact, like, okay, I've gotten to here and it's kind of a stop. So where do I reassess and then kind of go back up the mountain? So that's what you guys have done, and I think it's paid dividends for it for sure.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And then I'm trying to think, after that, we...
Is it just you that does the Boom Boom Room, or is it you and one of the guys from Noise Revolt? Or?
So the people I do it with have been kind of... I've known them since high school, and they're also sort of the... you know, just part of the community that kind of brought in Noise Revolt.
Okay.
But yeah, we all went to high school together at OSHA, Orange County High School of the Arts. So we all kind of met there. The people in my crew are Dante, Lara, Cody, Tristan. Both of them are Childers, so they're brothers.
Okay.
And then Christina, my girlfriend. And
Christina Rose?
Christina.
That's your girlfriend.
Yeah.
Got it. Now I'm starting to put two and two.
That's my girlfriend, y'all.
That's what
Stop checking her out.
I'm starting to put two and two together. So I'm having her on the podcast too as well. So it kind of worked out to have the dates where it works out with you. Perfect. Oh, got it. Small world. Damn, what are the chances of that? I didn't know that.
Yeah, and she's been a huge, tremendous help in all this, because she's just such a social person. She has so many connections.
Yeah.
Like she was like one of the first people I met. I remember before anything romantic, like I like sent her a friend request, and she was like, "Yeah, I didn't even see it. Like I have to delete people to like add you." I'm just like, or she showed me things where like she'd send people messages on Facebook, and like she'd always have to put new message and start typing their name. It's like because she'd have so many message threads that like you couldn't. I would normally just scroll down and just find
only
it.
There's only a few on there.
Exactly, and now things have changed. I mean, I have to do all those things that she showed me. Thanks to her, she's really opened a lot of doors in the community.
That's good, man. So that's good to have. I mean, again, I know her through the same community, and I feel like you guys integrated yourselves seamlessly. You guys integrated yourselves without hurting the industry or hurting the scene, and you guys kind of came in and fit really well in there. And it's really tough to do nowadays, because as you and I both know, it's like it's hard. I keep saying that it's like oversaturated, but maybe not over, but there's a lot going on. There's a lot of collectives, a lot of parties, a lot of, there's Noise Revolt, Dialogue, Incognito. They're the big dogs, and then there's the people that are starting to do it halfway, and then there's new and up and comers. So it's like it's an industry that you gotta keep it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you got to keep the content going, and you got to keep it different, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and one of the strategies that was really important for me from the beginning was I said I didn't want to compete within our community as much, and I felt like I was going to try to kind of help our community grow, because I kind of did an assessment of myself before kind of getting into the underground scene. And I was like, you know what, I'm living in Los Angeles, I'm going to school, or I just graduated, and I don't feel like I have the brotherhood social life that I had in high school in a certain way, or like really deep connections. I kind of felt like and I felt like, I'm sure there's a lot of people that did move to LA, and then it's kind of a new town, and people say like, it's hard to make real friends in LA type of thing. Yeah. So I felt like there's got to be other people out there kind of in that kind of mind frame.
Yeah.
Also, the other aspect I looked at was like kind of like on the more like mainstream like rave stuff. Like I used to kind of go to those Insomniac events when I was like, 18 or 19. And I kind of just stopped. It just didn't appeal to me anymore.
Yeah, you kind of grow out of it. Your tastes mature.
Yeah, my taste matured. But then I was like, somehow I came to like one underground event. And I heard, you know, like just some underground house music, and I was like, okay, like this is what I like.
Yeah.
Like this is it.
Yeah.
And that just kind of sparked it. And but when I would advertise, I try to. I was only looking at people that was like, okay, someone that was like kind of in that position, like you've outgrown the raves, but you probably will still like house music.
Yeah.
And you're looking for something different that isn't like Avalon or just like these kind of, very like just the same
corporate
thing.
Style type.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, so let's, event and try to advertise to those people, because I knew from just going to underground events, I kind of knew who the community was, and I didn't want to like
just target to that.
Yeah, I didn't want to, I actually didn't think there was enough people within our community to just start doing that with.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're totally right. So how did you decide, or like, so I totally get what you're saying by like, you see the exchanges, the Avalons, the academies, and they have their masses of people that come in, because I mean, LA, everybody likes dance music for the most part out here in some way or another, and I think some people have come along and taste a lot sooner or a lot quicker than others. Like you and I, example, we went to Insomniacs, we went to all the raves before.
Right.
Our tastes have developed, and we've gotten to a point where now we kind of know the underground, we know the people. But you're right that there isn't enough people to share, as far as like the cultured and the actual people know that, what they know about house music like we do. So how is it that you get to those people and educate them? Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Yeah. Without having to wait the 2 or 3 years for them to get through it themselves.
Right. So what I'd really do is when I'd start, like Instagram, that was a big thing. Yeah. I looked on there, and I would engage with people, strangers, and kind of like get them just to look at my page, and I would, just kind of say like, sort of just different things here, a little comment, like, like, hey, just check out our parties. And people, and then people like, maybe 1 out of 10 of the people you do it to does. And our averages just started getting better because we started throwing better events, and then we have better photos. So when people look at our page, they go, oh, this actually does look pretty, you know what I mean? Yeah. So, and, I really, with the events, kind of like you mentioned, with the special goodies, the chocolate fondue, the fruit, those things, like I put those things in there because it helps talk about like why someone should come, because it's more than just the music too. Yeah. It's an experience, the social gathering. So that's also what a lot of people will come and be like, I've never been to an event like this before, but I really enjoyed this. And like, they'll bring their friends, and it just kind of spreads in that way. So bringing in the other aspects more than just the house music, I think helps with that. Yeah, absolutely. And then people, it's house music. It's irresistible in my opinion. Yeah, so they're gonna like it.
I agree. And again, it's an experience. It's a party. Everybody likes to have a good time. So if you can give people a safe space, if you can give people something different, like you got free popcorn, you got free fondue, you got stuff like that. They don't see that a lot in the underground, and it is scarce. So that's just so important to me too when it comes to providing, I think in my mind, like value to things. It's like, it's like, I think of this as a service industry, and I love being of service. And I think, when it comes to hospitality, like just having that idea, like, the customer is always right. And like, I always say this to everybody. It's like, I don't care about profits. I care about people. Right. And, it's like, if someone was upset or anything, like I'll refund them their money. I'm very like, I just want you to be happy. Yeah. I mean, we've had to do that several times, so I totally hear you on that. And again, a service industry, I think that's probably one of the best things that you kind of, that ethos that you built for yourself early on, because it is. Because, I mean, I've seen a lot of, I've been in the industry specifically here in LA for quite some time, maybe like a couple, 4 years now. And I've seen a lot of collectives that come in and, the money isn't everything, but at least being able to figure out how to be self-sustaining so that you can at least keep it going and not really have to come out of pocket too much. I see a lot of people that don't know how to do that, and they shoot themselves in the foot. Yeah. Pretty bad.
No, it's true. So in terms of the way I kind of try to mitigate those things in terms of is I think people go too far when they think like, oh, let me, it's either like I make money or I lose money. Right. I definitely am not. I don't think we've lost money yet, and that's a good thing. And for
sure, that's always a good thing.
But like I kind of gave someone else this sort of tip because they reached out to me. They were like, their party was coming up soon. They were getting worried about like, is this going to work out? You know, and I'm just like, okay, you just need to flip it around and start thinking like, if you're basically, if the ship's going to sink, you need to throw the best party you possibly like.
One hell of a sinking ship.
Like, it's like, why not just make it free or something? You need to start just passing out free tickets or something because it's like, if you're going to pay for it anyways at that point, and then, you know, what ends up happening is it ends up like being a decent party, and people are like, you know, maybe you don't lose any money, and then people are like, cool, when's the next one? And then just that is, to me, is worth making money off of. Like, it's just, that's so valuable just to be able to, you know, keep that dream alive, essentially. Yeah, for sure. I mean, again, there are going to be, hopefully you guys never have to deal with that. There are obviously events that aren't going to go as planned. And for people that come in and they get kind of spooked at the fact like, you know, shit, I've only sold, you know, 17 tickets and, you know, we have, you know, overhead that we have to cover. We have the lineup. We want to have, I mean, I think for us, like we want to have attendance for the artists themselves because it's not so much for us. I don't want to book an artist and fly them from overseas to play in front of like 17 people. So there's a lot that goes into it, but you know, if you can, let's say, figure out a way to get 70 people, if you're already short 16 or whatever it is on tickets, and have one hell of a party for those 70 people, then you're cutting it a little close, but you're still not doing too bad for yourself as far as the brand. Yeah, absolutely. And then, that's not, what do we got next?
I mean, as far as like, because I've been to a few events here in LA. How have you guys navigated like? I mean, the underground is the underground for a reason, and it's not legal necessarily because we stay out all night and we, you know, the party's a party. So what have you seen coming in that maybe you were not expecting with the underground as far as like the cops or parties getting shut down or how's that worked out?
It's been a nice growing experience. For people who maybe don't know, we had a really awesome event that got shut down a little early, February 9th of this year.
Was that the one with Mary Droppins?
That was the Mary Droppins one, yeah. And that was kind of a big slew of emotions in a lot of ways because, you know, people, like, that was the most packed we'd ever gotten any dance floor. The place was, you know, we were reaching capacity. People were walking through. People, like, the security guards were like, we've never seen, like, EJAG spot like this before. And so all, you know, incredibly exciting, a little overbearing for a second, and then, you know, you don't even have a second to really gauge how you feel, and then all of a sudden you get a message like, hey, like, cops are at the front, you know, I'm going up there, I'm being put in handcuffs, and...
You were put in handcuffs.
I was put in handcuffs. I was in handcuffs.
I walked out and I saw someone put in handcuffs. That was you.
That was me. That was me. And it's fun. One thing I am grateful for is that, you know, I unfortunately, I've had, you know, some small run-ins with like police before, and like my anxiety for that situation is very low.
Sure. So you mean you've handled it before? I mean, as far as like you're kind of familiar with the process and all that.
Yeah, and in that specific situation, you know, I'm looking at it like, okay, so they're just kind of putting me in handcuffs. They haven't really told me what I've done.
Sure.
So I'm like,
they got to have someone accountable.
Or they're more, in my mind, I'm like, I don't, you know, you got to try to stick me with something. Like, what are you going to stick me with right now? Because, I don't know.
Was it like a catch and release kind of situation where they just kind of had to have someone until everyone cleared out and then they figured out what the details were and then
pretty
kind of
much,
get you on the road?
But yeah, I think, you know, in those situations, like, I think for what I'm doing now, I don't mind because it's like, for me in reality, I think the fear of like running in with the cops for me it's just like the record things. And if you have a bad record, it only stops with, it hurts you in your like professional career of being hired for companies.
Right.
And for me, you know, when I had all those kind of problems, because I had all these problems when I was like 21. So I was like, I was, you know, everyone says these stories about being 18 or like being 17 and doing all this bad stuff. Yeah. Now their record's expunged. I was the opposite. I was like the most goody two shoes, or at least I just never got caught for anything.
Yeah.
And then like as soon as I hit 21, it was just like one after the other, and it was a real tough like time in my life. But since then, it's just like, and I guess to compare real quick to like tattoos, like I don't have any tattoos, but in a certain sense, like those marks are like tattoos on you know, my citizen number or whatever. And it's like, you know, and it makes me say like, well, you know, I just have to be my own business in a certain sense. Or like, it's like, it's kind of like that, you know, what am I thinking of? Mumble rappers getting like tattoos on their face. It's like, you know, that's it. Like, you're either going to be a mumble rapper or like,
I don't know what the thought process is behind that. I mean, I have a couple tattoos and I plan to get more, but something on your face and something that's like, that seems a little, you're kind of putting yourself in a box. It's like a self-fulfilling prophecy almost.
Yeah, I have an interesting thought about it. I think about stuff very psychologically. Yeah, and it's like, you know, being a rebel is doing those types of actions. Mm-hmm. So now that tattoos are like so cool and normal, it's like, what's rebellious? Yeah,
that's a good point.
You know,
I mean, I get something, just anything breaking the law. I would assume, but even that's
like in terms of like physical look. So that's why I think like, you know, crazy colored hair is becoming, you know, more of a statement, and also, you know, now I think there's probably even more people that are into, I forget what the term is, but people who do kind of piercings that they call them like enhancements or something.
Body enhancements, like when they're I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, they're gonna like split their tongue
and
stuff like that.
People that like get rid of the eyebrows and the horn. I don't know. That's next level. I mean, the tattoos on the face. Even with that though, with tattoos on the face, I think there's a very, like let's say with the mumble rap generation, as far as like face tattoos, it's kind of a specific like format. They kind of got some styles, but then there's like face tattoos that you're like, that's not a mumble rapper. Like, you know, that guy's been through hard times. That guy's done some. So I think there's still that like kind of barrier with where face tattoo goes from a generational thing and an art type of statement to that guy's been through some shit.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah. I mean, I think also they probably started in like prison. I'm thinking, and that's probably why.
Yeah.
You know, the mumble rappers think it's cool.
The gang life and all that stuff has always had like face tattoos with the teardrops and all that stuff. So that's kind of gnarly. Damn, face enhancements. Do you know anyone that's gotten anything with like their tongue split? That's bizarre to me. That seems like a little too much. I mean, again, that's a whole nother world.
Yeah,
that's a lot. Yeah. I don't think I could ever do that.
Yeah, no. That
fucking obviously.
Yeah,
fucking. Like, that's not even a question that would even come up. But
yeah, and I like to look at things in you know, I don't want to be judged, so I won't judge.
That's fair.
Yeah, I think all that stuff is like, I don't know, it's all crazy, but like, you know, I kind of love to see people's freak flags fly.
Freak flags fly.
Freak
flags fly.
Yeah.
Got it. Yeah, I mean, again, it's you can't really judge in this day and age. 2019, I mean, so much shit's going down, and so many people are just different, which is fine, and more power to them. That's obviously not our path, clearly, but have you seen much of that in the underground scene? Not so much, I would think. I mean, the mumble rap and the body enhancements and all that, it's got its own scene out here.
Yeah. And I kind of brought it up as a kind of a metaphor for the police record I might have.
Yeah.
Kind of like, you won't physically see it on me, but it's there for.
It's there for you to know.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's directed your path, so to speak. Like, you did that when you were 21, and that kind of shaped pretty much everything else you've done moving forward to kind of lead to this. So is the Boom Boom Room something that you're kind of going all in for? Do you work on side projects? Do you have everything's just kind of
it's definitely an all in for me.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah,
as it should be.
Yeah. I kind of so when I took a year off of work before then, I haven't gone back since. And when I took that time off, I was, you know, I bought like a laser cutter. I was like experimenting with like, maybe this will be like a little business to kind of go with. My whole family, I've just grown up with an entrepreneurial mindset. So
yeah, it seems
and like for me, it's as crazy as it is. Like, I would rather be like, you know, doing what I am right now. Like, I'm driving a beater, just like focused on my goal and trying to build my dream and like going through the struggle, than to like be in a more secure position with like a job that like, even if I work there 10 years, like I'll only grow like a
right,
little
so
bit.
much. Yeah. What were you doing before? You said you.
I was like a creative director for a vaping company.
Oh, nice. That's been on the come up too.
That was on the come up, and that was a really great gig to get out of school. I mean, it was like, that I think it was like the first year or two when I was at Noiseville. I was like, I was paying like a very small amount for my rent because I had that tiny room. I was, working like a, $50K a year job, and I was like, all right, now I'm like saving money. I'm gonna buy a laser cutter.
Hey, if that's where your head goes when you're starting to save money, it's definitely entrepreneurial mindset for sure.
Because I was like, and I kind of tried things here, and then the laser cutting thing, as much as I loved it, it just.
What was that? What were you cutting? What were you designing? Like, what was what is that being put towards?
So a laser cutter, it's really great for graphic designers because everything that you do in like Illustrator to make a logo or like a line or an etching or an engraving just directly translates to the laser cutter.
Okay.
So it can like
puts it onto whatever surface you got.
Yeah. So that is like magic to graphic designers of like, whoa, it's on my computer and now it's in front of me.
Right. Oh wow, yeah, that could. So it's like 3D printing essentially,
right?
But you're just kind of etching it into already. I got it.
Exactly.
Still have it, laser cutter?
No, I sold it.
You sold it.
Yeah.
Now on to the next thing, and I mean, I think you kind of. Do you think you found your niche with this? It seems like you did. It seems like you do.
Yeah. No, I really believe in it, and I think also just kind of going forward with everything, like with what we want to do in the bigger kind of business stuff I have in mind, I believe that events and being able to bring people together is the best thing for any business. Yeah. No matter what it is. And I want that to be like our strength. Like whatever
community.
Whatever that community, whatever we decide to do from there, like we're just known to where people will like, okay, like we have a grand opening and we like have events there, whatever it is, and people are like, great, like I don't know, and just kind of lead with that. With like some market, me and my friend Cody, we've always talked about like, he's a master brewer.
Oh, nice. Brews his own stuff.
Brews his own stuff. Hey. And actually at the Boom, me and him collab to make some of our very specialty like mixed drinks. So we do kind of like a mixology for the masses thing where we'll pre-make like the best drinks you've ever had with like we'll make whiskey gingers with real ginger like inside of it. So when you taste it, like
you get that.
It feels good.
That's
it's
good.
Amazing. And we put those in kegs and then we serve them on tap and like, it's a whole.
Dude, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's the thing with exactly like being in this community, being in this industry, so to speak, is how you can branch off and what you can incorporate into, let's say, let's just like bring it down to the basic of like having a party, having an event and bringing people together. You have an avenue where your guy's a master brewer and you guys have your own thing. That's its own business. You can turn that into something. You guys have, multiple brands within a brand.
Yeah, exactly. And so with kind of the beverage side of stuff, we're one of the things when you're looking at, let's just say a small or micro brewery or things like that. Yeah. The biggest reason why breweries go out of business is basically because people don't go. So there's with this whole like new, it's kind of like the bubble's kind of coming closer to an end now, but a couple years ago when everyone was like IPAs and all these kind of like, it was like a thing where everyone's like, oh, I'm going to like learn to brew at home and I'm going to buy this whole home brew setup and everyone, and it really became about, the making good beer, and that's of course one of the most important parts, but people didn't focus on getting people to try it, and that
marketability was
and people would, put their life savings into something and then just not realize that it takes more than just good drink or good food.
Isn't that wild though? People like commit and then they get to a certain point where they kind of got it going and they're like, cool, we'll hope for the best. That's where we started, and hopefully it kind of picks up on its own. A lot of people I feel like don't want to put in the work long term. They everything is very like short-term gains, short-term money gains. They want to put it in now and they're like, hey, I started it, cool, it's going, but why are we not where we should be in 3 or 4 years?
Mm-hmm. I think, there's what comes to mind when you say that is like, I remember my dad gave me this talk about, because something about like, okay, so because he works with like business people and he's like, okay, but people will always come up with like a reason that they need something else to do the job at hand.
Okay.
So it's like, oh, well, I can't start a restaurant because I don't have a place yet. So how's it, you know what I mean? And you kind of like, the example you gave was like with the salesman. It was like, okay, so someone wants to be a salesman. Well, you can't be a salesman unless you have a nice car. Okay. Skip the car. It's like, well, let me get a nice suit. Maybe I need a briefcase.
Right.
I need like.
So you're putting yourself back a little. You're kind of setting yourself up to like, well, I need all of this to really start, as opposed to.
Or you think that those are the keys.
Okay.
You're like, okay, cool. Like if I wear a suit, then people know that I'm legit, and they'll just buy from me.
Right.
And not really realizing that's not it. That's not it.
Yeah, that's fucking not it. I'm in sales directly, and I can tell you that's definitely not it.
It's not it at all.
If anything, with the whole suit thing, I found that it's kind of almost backwards.
Totally, and it's more of like the metaphor of like thinking you need all this stuff.
Yeah, I feel you.
And yeah, it's like, so I think with the restaurant, people think like, well, how am I going to get customers? And they convince themselves that the only way to actually make it work is to kind of buy in and let it grow from there, not realizing like, you're going to be paying out. Like, I couldn't imagine what it'd be like, losing $5,000 to $10,000 a month, like trying to get a business going. It'd be, it's like, it's hard enough if like, you're barely breaking even, you're working your ass off. But that'll bite at your character. So that, I think, is what a lot of people kind of run into.
Yeah, for sure. I have a couple of friends that are in restaurateurs in the restaurant industry, and that's a problem that they do run into, because they feel like their product is gonna sell itself, and they feel like let's say they do have a space and they got to pay rent, they got to pay for employees, they got to pay for ingredients, they got to pay for air conditioning, whatever it is, everything that comes together, and they start seeing it chip out away at their like small investment that they have. And they get spooked, and they don't put in the extra work to like slow gains to kind of get back to where you want.
Right. Yeah.
That's tough, man.
Yeah.
So do you guys plan on doing much with the microbrewery, or do you guys plan on just kind of making it as a hobby to incorporate into the events, which will hopefully turn into something natural over time?
There's been we're not exactly sure yet, because we're looking at using that maybe as an advantage in a certain way.
Yeah.
Laws are so interesting in Los Angeles. Like, I was talking to like the ABC people the other day on the phone, and they were
ABC people.
Yeah, that's alcohol beverage consumption.
Yeah.
And they have a whole list of licenses to apply for, because they're all different. You can have a place that serves beer and wine, but you can also have a place that serves beer and wine, but you have to have food. There's like very different small nuances with it, and actually even so there's private kind of places. There's also traditional like nightclub, full service thing, pub. Yeah, and with all of those, when I kind of was asking a bunch of questions, it was really hard for them to answer, because they all have like their own giant iceberg of information that just apply to that one and not the other ones. And
sounds tough to navigate.
Yeah, it's really tough to navigate, and it's funny because it's like you kind of get you don't get like a very direct answer, and also in the world of like now where we're so used to going to Google and just typing something in and getting the answer, you won't. You'll just get a lot of advertisements for like consultants.
Oh, damn. Okay. Like, pay for us and buy our plan, and you can have someone kind of break it down for you.
Right.
Oof. Yeah, I mean, obviously, if you're going to be microbrewing, you have to have a license to kind of get it going.
And
if you want to be legit. If you want to do it legit.
And that's
which is a goal, I would assume.
100%. And with the microbrewery, the reason we're toying around with different options, because we're looking at which one may serve us the best for the license we may want.
As far as the product that you guys are creating?
Well, it's a couple
or which
things.
License would work best for
which license? Yeah, and like as an example, it would be like, okay, let's say we wanted to be able to get what is it? It's you basically get like a brewery license, and then you get with that license, you're allowed to serve your product on site. You have it's like a tasting room.
Yeah.
So with that, that negates needing a beer and wine license or something like that, because you're like a brewery. You're just like a brewery.
It's like an on location
type of thing. So like that. So for example, making a brewery to fit that need would be something that we can kind of play to our skills and use to our kind of like financial advantage for what fits best.
Right.
Another thing on there that like the lady on the ABC said that I thought was very interesting, and no one steal this idea, but see if you can pull it off. And if you do, let me know. But it was about the idea of like, okay, like, you know, LA will give you a license to be like a micro distillery.
Okay.
So that
is that like one of the easier ones to kind of just apply for with certain.
It sparked an idea that said, okay, well, if we become a micro distillery, and we just basically say we're making, you know, we're distilling spirits and we're making hard alcohol, and now we have a tasting room. Wait, did we just figure out? You know what I mean? Yeah. So there's a lot of loopholes. Yeah, it seems like
if you can figure out the loophole, then exactly that's the way to go. Yeah. So is it with like, let's say for example, like a microbrewery where you have something on site? Is that same license? Is it movable? Can you just operate anywhere as long as you have XXXX, you know, like that kind of thing, or it's per location, per event that you want to do it? Because I'm not too familiar with all that.
When I called about the catering side of things, it seemed like to be a catering company, you have to have like a really good like
trustworthy brand.
Well, no, it's like they only want people to be a caterer if you have an actual nightclub or something like that. Like, so it's like
interesting.
You can't just come into the catering game. They're like, catering is only an extension of your actual license.
Oh, okay. Got it. So it branches off from the original core of what you're doing.
So in that example of like a brewery thing, most likely you'd probably only be able to serve like beer.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I mean, you guys are doing beer.
And some other stuff too, like, you know, we like the whiskey gingers and stuff like that. Because that's the thing. It's like,
you mentioned that.
And then the other side, fair warning to anyone who is thinking about doing sort of like a
warning.
Warning. Yeah, like because I thought this was a good idea too. People would think, oh, let's just do like beer and wine, and then we'll use the fake spirit, like the lighter spirits that are just like harder wines, essentially.
Right.
Like there's a whole marketplace for that. The thing is, you will not feel as good. And there's
about what you're doing with it, or
it's you'll get a headache essentially.
You'll literally physically
won't feel as good. So people think it's a good idea, and then like try getting drunk off of it, and you'll realize it's not the same.
Yeah,
because my friend Cody could explain a lot better, but in essence, for those to taste the way that they do, they have more sugar than like actual hard alcohol. So it's like
that's a headache waiting to happen.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Damn.
Essentially. Damn, that's wild, man. Well, it sounds like, I mean, you guys got a lot going on. It's hard enough to kind of focus on marketing and focusing on a proper lineup. Because I take it, you guys are like, everyone's always working on finding their sound.
Yeah.
You know, so I mean, I feel like you guys are kind of starting to kind of get that. And you have something coming up, much techno. Is that mucho techno? Mucho techno. What's going on with that? Why did you guys want to do like a techno-centric type?
Yeah, it's
as opposed to the house.
Right. It's sort of an idea to kind of expand a little, like for our future projects and what we want to do.
Totally.
And the idea behind this is, you know, how can we create a more enriched calendar? And we want. So I want to have the Boom Boom Room and start bringing kind of like once a month. I do every 30 to 45 days, but to have Mucho Techno kind of grow as its own event and work kind of
in tandem with everything that's
in tandem with everything else, exactly. And for that's just it's just not supposed to be the Boom Boom Room. It's supposed to just be that more of a techno kind of more minimalistic party that. And also this techno we're going to be doing, I'm sure a lot of techno heads will be like, you know, it's not like the hard type.
You're always going to get that. You're always going to get those people here in LA, no matter even if you host something. Yeah, always. The music snobs out here. I mean, this is like half of you motherfuckers, so it's not to target anyone specific, but you're always going to run into that. So you can't let that kind of direct you in any way, which I'm sure it doesn't.
No, it doesn't. And for the this has also been a part too, because like the Boom Boom Room sound is very much of like what I kind of like, and a lot of our DJs like Dante, he loves that sound, but he also has a whole other like, and same with Tristan, he's the one that I think I kind of matched this sound kind of for his sound for the event, and it's you know, it's more of a I don't know, it's like a driving progressive type of a techno, more, I wouldn't go as far as, it's not melodic, but it's, I don't know, it has like a kind of a driving factor. It's like a grooved kind of
like rhythmic.
So it's more
techno.
of a rhythmic techno.
I feel
and that's, that is what I want my show techno to be. And actually even, I'm encouraging some of our artists, I'm like, Chief Jesta, I'm telling them, I'm like, try to make like a cumbia techno set. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I want it to be like, you know, techno with the like
a little different.
I want that world techno.
Yeah. Hey man, I've been looking for that for a while here in LA. As far as like the world, the African boogie, I've been talking about it. I think it's tough because this is one of those, especially with the music snobs out here. No matter what genre you have, if you incorporate something too new, a lot of people it won't connect.
Right.
So, I mean, again, it's one of those things where it shouldn't kind of derail you from going with that vision anyway, because it sounds like you guys have a good enough team to kind of set everything up. Do you guys have people, like, is it, let's say, for example, like you're kind of take control for the most part of the lineup with like the Boom Boom Room house side of it, and then you have people that are in your collective that are more knowledgeable of this, so you guys kind of delegate, like, hey, this I kind of think is more of your wheelhouse, so why don't you kind of spearhead it? Or is it all just like, because working with people is not easy, especially in doing something with events and lineups and marketing and ticketing. It's super tricky.
And I think what really helps me and everything is I'm just a very hands-on person.
Yeah.
And I love, like, I'm one of those people, like, I love that phrase, but it was like jack of all trades, like master of none. But like that is why I'm so good at
air
this.
quotes.
Yeah.
Can't do that.
But that's why I'm so. That's why I feel like this is what I'm meant to do, because my ability to have that full-sided thing from marketing, design, music, food, brewing, a little bit of everything, and just but seeing it on my design outlook is always like, how can we make it better?
Yeah.
And just always kind of having that there, that's going to
help. That's going to help you guys for sure. The fact that it's not just like, hey, we're booking a lineup, here's our flyer, you know, come to our party. Like, that's not going to work. I mean, you might have like enough friends in the industry to where you're like, cool, like, yeah, hey, we can invite some people out. But if you want to grow a brand and if you want to kind of develop it into a community, it can't just be lineup, flyer, come on out, guys. How are our ticket sales doing? Yeah,
it's so funny. Sometimes, you know, I deal with that sometimes with some of my teammates, just because they're, and everyone has their fortes. Mm-hmm. So I've learned, you know, it's like play everyone to their strengths. Yep, totally. And you know, one of my partners in this is I always feel like I have to remind him, like, dude, it doesn't just happen.
Yeah, yeah, it's a process.
I'm over here like you know what I mean? I don't have a day job because I'm doing this, like, it's my day job.
Yeah.
And I work it that way, and I you know, there's kind of all there is to with that. It's like, if I want to do this all the time, I need to make sure that it's successful enough to make that a possibility. Yeah. And I think, you know, the whole crossing the fingers thing, that is something I can't do. Like, that's crazy to me, just because it's like, I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm going to work my ass off and still cross my fingers. Yeah, of course,
obviously. But you're going to cross them out down here so people can't really see them too much.
Oh my God, I think
I can feel the anxiety.
Yeah, it's crazy. I just
but
think
that's good though.
Yeah.
That shows that it's like, as much as it's like your full-time gig, it's a passion project, which is very, very important. And a lot of people, I say this time and time again, they don't have that. So those brands, although they have the attendance for some fucking reason that people just show up, longevity I don't think is there. Yeah. And I think like being able to like really put in a community energy from you and your team, and you have the, you know, the microbrewery, you have the little nuances with like the fruit and the fondue, and you're able to be, let's say like you get shut down by the cops, but you guys are like, cool, that happened, next party, it's like it never even happened. You still promote it, you still push it. You guys had the summer festival recently just passed. How'd that go? Was that at the
new Awa Oasia spot?
I don't know if I'm familiar with that.
Okay, so it's and actually the February 9th kind of leads into this next chapter of the Awa Oasia step, which the interesting part was like, okay, so February 9th was that party. It got shut down. Right. The part, like, I'm very hard on myself, so I was like, you know, oh, you know, like, it got shut down. Yeah. It was like, you know, but I just received so many messages and so many people reaching out and people just telling me, like, yeah, it got shut down, but like that still was the best party I've like been to yet, and like people were just like, they didn't seem to be like too bothered by it and stuff, and
because it happens out here, fucking LA.
And then the next day, I think there's a Terrachroma. Was it Terrachroma? I'm trying to think if it was what party was it? I think it was Terrachroma and Anton. They did like a Sunday, like 2
the
p.m.
The subtract on the pier?
It was at Agua Alicia.
Oh, okay.
So that was the next day, and it was like a 2 p.m. to 2 a.m. party. So we finally made our way over there. I saw some people from the night before. A lot of people were kind of coming up asking me, like, give me like hugs and high fives and asking like, am I okay and stuff. And I'm like, yeah, it's all good. But while I was sitting there, I was like thinking to myself, I was like, obviously we need to, pick another route, kind of that mountain thing. It's okay, so we got to shut down. What are we going to do? And that's when I got the idea. I'm like, let's just try to do it legal.
Yeah.
And I was like, and it was very much around that space, because I went to the space and I was like, this is really nice. It looks like a warehouse, but it has really nice bathrooms and it's really clean and the whole ambiance.
That's the one that had that indoor-outdoor with the food truck, right?
Yeah.
I think I was at that one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I went to that one for sure. I'm familiar with the space.
Yeah.
Now, man.
So that's and I just fell in love with the space, and I really was like, okay, like, if I had the thought that was like, if I can, make it a big enough party where people are, enticed enough to go, it's at this location, and we stop serving at 2, and we just keep partying till 4, but stop serving at 2. Right. I think the community will appreciate it, and I think people will still have
That's bold, man. That's bold.
Yeah,
very bold. I mean, we've dealt with the same thing where it's like, do we want to go somewhere where, let's say, alcohol sales stop at 2? Because, I mean, in this scene and in this industry, people don't necessarily need alcohol to really finish the night off. If you catch my drift. Yeah. Shots fired a little bit at all you motherfuckers, but I mean, it's fucking true. It's true. It's one of those things. I mean, that's gutsy. That's ballsy for you guys to be like, hey, we're okay with stopping the alcohol at 2 and really continuing with the energy of the party. Yeah, which has paid off.
Yeah, and it really paid off. So we went for it there, and it went phenomenally. Then our first one there was the Disco Redemption. And, one of the things we did, it's like our event got shut down. And this, by the way, this happens for everybody. Anytime our events do get shut down, please just reach out to us. We will give you a free ticket to the next event. And we'll refund you your money if you want it too, because that's how much we really, really care. And we really, really just appreciate you coming out. You just appreciate that so much. So
that's the brand, man. That's the brand you represent. That's the brand you started. You guys, I mean, best of luck to you. I mean, you guys are going to be fine. Just keep doing what you're doing. Keep incorporating these little things that are going to take care of the community and focus on something bigger than just you guys, something bigger than just the lineup. So, I mean, you guys, you're fucking more power to you, man. You have Mucho Techno coming up. You also have the Boom Lagoon.
The Boom Lagoon,
Boom Lagoon coming up. Yeah, that's with Artificial People.
Artificial People, yeah. People. Very, very excited about that one. It's been on our to-do list to throw a pool party for a while. And I was looking everywhere. I was like, I was doing options like looking at Airbnbs and like I'm doing all the numbers and I'm like, this doesn't work. I'm like, just to break even, everyone's gonna have to pay like $30, like
if not more, depending on the space. Yeah,
and and it was like great. I was like, we're gonna spend like how much? Like $10,000, and we can only bring like 200 people.
yeah. I mean, at that point you're banking on everything going perfectly to just hopefully break even.
I know.
Not worth the risk. Yeah, that's not worth the fucking risk. So Boom Lagoon is going to be where, at the W?
The W rooftop. So that that's going to be our first time going to Hollywood. It's that may be the only reason we're going to. Like that may be, even though they have wonderful venues out there. I'm just my heart and soul is in downtown Los Angeles, and I want to be just a big part of, just a big part of our community in downtown Los Angeles, and I want us to create our own sort of wonderfully colorful like community out here in LA. So that's where I want our attention, but there are no rooftops pools in LA that you can have like 500 people at.
No, unless you get like an open parking lot, but. That's not that. What the fuck are you gonna do with that? We've looked at a lot of parking spaces as far as like having it, but permitting is borderline impossible.
It's no fun.
Sound is, it's, I mean, as a whole, that's a whole nother, I think you kind of get to a certain level to be able to pull something off there. But you guys are doing great. You have a summer festival already. You guys have a pool party coming up. You have a branch of your events that's now focused on a certain sound with Mucho Techno, and you guys have your house music core.
Yeah.
So you're touching all the bases. Just keep it pumping.
Exactly. Yeah, we're gonna keep it going. Yeah. I'm trying to think what else. I know one thing we're definitely gonna be doing is once the summer, right after probably is over after the pool party, we're gonna be announcing our summer festival for next year.
Oh, nice.
I'm just gonna use all the time to my advantage for that one, and really try to push the barrier. I think last time. Final count in through the door, out the door at the end, I think it was like 1,200 people.
Damn.
So that was like,
hell yeah.
And that's been, this is a note for everyone who's kind of out there and has some goals and stuff like that. Like, it is so important, to have these goals, keep them in the dream state, but in the realm of reality, and just like keep working towards, make them achievable and reach that goal, and then just push it a little, and then just make a new one. For the longest time, I was like, I would love if we got 500 people at our party, and that was really important to me. And once we got it, that meant the world. And it was like, okay, now we can keep growing and keep pushing. And another thing I always look at, it's like Facebook event kind of engagement, and like kind of people interested or going, like kind of how all that plays out. Big like hitting, I remember when we hit 1K for the first time, like on interested or going, and like that was huge. You know what I mean?
Course.
It's like, and I had that like in mind, probably a year before that, like, what do the big events do? They get those big numbers, and it's like, that's Absolutely. How they, so I want to, be in that same group of people, and I want to be in, hit those big numbers. And I think for the summer festival, we hit like, maybe like, was it 2.2 or, you know what I mean? 2.5 or something like that. And like, and
all organic too.
Yeah.
Yeah. More power to you, man. Well, you hit the goal, and again, you hit the goal, and now you go to the next one. You set the bar a little higher for yourself. But I agree with the whole like not getting kind of too far fetched with your goals, because that can kind of, you're going to set yourself up for failure if you're trying to shoot for too much. Yeah. It's just being realistic, because in this industry, it's not something that you can come in, fucking walk your way to the top, and then just keep going. It's like, it's slow progression. You're going to take hits. You're going to really have to reassess with your team. I think having a good team is incredibly, incredibly important. Because if you have a shitty team where you guys can't make decisions together, and one person's vision is not aligned with the brand itself, because it's not about the people that are hosting the party. It's the brand that they're representing. Yeah. So more power to you guys. Where can everybody find you? Social media and
so our Instagram account is tbbr.la, and we also have, like, for my personal Instagram, it's jorel.tbbr. Our website is tbbr.la.
Whole lot of TBBR. Yeah, the Boom Boom Room. If you want to abbreviate it, that's what it is. Just search it everywhere. Follow the man. Support him. Anything else you want to touch on?
No, I just want to, actually, no. I mean, I just want to say, thank you for having me.
Of course.
Thanks for, anyone who tuned in and listened all the way till the end.
Yeah, that's the key. We're waiting, trying to keep them going to the end.
Yeah. Actually, so let's see. If anyone listened to the very end, what do I have here? If you want to go to the Boom Lagoon, if you type in TBBR loves you, you'll get a free ticket.
Let's see who's really paying attention, motherfuckers. We're keeping the goodies till the end.
Yeah, and then for the Mucho Techno one, the password is Mucho Amor.
Mucho Amor. A-M-O-R-E? A-M-O-R?
A-M-O-R.
Okay, Mucho Amor.
Yep.
Come on, man, you're getting codes. You're getting codes, you're getting tickets, you're getting access. All you got to do is listen to the end. Well, I appreciate you for coming out, man. You're busy, man. Thank you for taking the time out here. Thank you guys for tuning in, and we'll see you in the scene, my brother.